22, 2022. Eighth minute, baby. Good stuff happening out there in the playoffs. Always a player. Telling it like it is. Ready to roll here. Of course, the bracket's been filled in since the play-in tournament. Dave Scholler and telling like it is. NBA playoff special. Got a long playoff ahead. Always is. Got some teams who thought they could skip steps, almost missed the season there. Some teams who did thought they would advance to the next level in McAfee, missed the playoffs this season. But as we get on with the season here, a lot of good stuff. Unfortunately, like I've said every year, the NBA is affected by injuries more than any other playoff, pretty much every year. And this year might be the same. Unfortunately, for some of these great games coming up. But best thing about the playoffs this year is not having LeBron James and not having to hear the same old LeBron James love story every second of every possession. So it's wonderful not to have to do that. The best part about it is that we don't have to see that graphic that says he's the second in triple doubles all time in playoffs. But we know who the first is. It's Magic Johnson, in 70 less games, has more triple doubles. But hey, we'll just skip right over him in that GOAT talk. I think not. But hey, whatever. At least we don't have LeBron in there, so it's going to be fun. MVP candidates, they got Luka, I guess, and big fella, Embiid. And actually, Luka's not going to win. Joker or Embiid, I guess, or Booker. Those are the three. Forget Luka this year. But those are the three. I'm sure they'll look for it, and all three are deserving. So we'll see what we get. The Hawks had that bad man last night show up in the fourth quarter. I think he had 32 points in the second half, but not a shock. Trey's a badass, and the Suns will get the Pelicans in the other game from last night. Pelicans blew a big lead, came back and won anyway against the Clips. That was good. So the Clips and the Lakers with all their star power out. 4 Hall of Famers LeBron playing with, couldn't get it done. Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, everybody still talks about how he's one of the best players. But if you don't play, you're not one of the best players. It's whole seasons twice now. He's just sat out. And whatever. He's hurt this year. The other one, we don't know what happened. We still haven't talked about it. But, some 16 or 17-year-old doesn't know the meaning of that stuff. So we don't really listen to them when they talk about some of the greatest ever. You don't play, you can't be an immortal player. That's just a fact, because you get based on consistency is what greatness is. And if you're not playing, you're not consistent. But anyway, so if we look here at the bracket, and like I said, the Pels filled in there nicely. And of course, on the other side, the Hawks filled in nicely. But if we get down to it, if we take a good look up here at that Suns Pelican series, should be a pretty interesting series. I just think that the Suns might have too many guys they can run at Ingram to stop him, but then it comes up to CJ McCollum and Ingram, of course. The depth of the Suns is going to be a big problem. Okay, and coaching buddies in the series, so that's good to see guys who work for each other have to coach against each other. That's really fun. But when you start off the best of 7 here, you realize that the Suns have that trifecta at center. Really do a nice job. Got JaVale McGee at center there. All right. They also have DeAndre Ayton. And they got Biyombo, who I think is very underrated, can play center in small doses, especially when the game seems to be shrinking as far as the size that's on the floor. Versus Valanciunas of the Pelicans, who I really like, but 3-headed monster. And JaVale McGee, very underrated player, can come in and give you some great minutes. Even when you don't think you haven't used him in a couple of days, he'll come in, he'll give you energy. The guy plays hard as anybody in the league. He can give you some bounce. Suns also have great depth, like I mentioned just a minute ago, to cover a guy like Ingram. You're not going to do great, but Ingram in the past has shown that he can be stopped as a volume shooter, which means just taking a lot of shots to score a lot of points, which is how Trae Young started the first half last night, but yet second half he went off. So you have Craig, you got Johnson, you got Crowder, and you got Bridges. I'm sure they could all rotate. Crowder is a very physical defender. I'm sure they'll try a first shot on him. And if Ingram wants to have success this series, he's got to get to the foul line a lot and make his baskets easier, because like I said, they can rotate fresh bodies on him, and that's a lot. So, but the Suns' depth at center is going to be very fascinating. For the Pelicans, though, You got a couple of great rookies. You got Jones, one of the best defenders in the league. You got Alvarado. You got Graham, and then last night Nance stepped up big time. Nance played a great game last night, so we're going to see him, and he can even spell you center in small doses too if you want to go really small. And then, of course, like I said a minute ago, McCollum's the big situation in this series right here. Obviously, the Suns, you know, you have Booker and Chris Paul, so we won't even talk about them. They're just shoo-ins for being great this series, you would hope. The injury bug has always bugged Chris Paul in the past, so you have to see if he finds a way to stay healthy this time. You know, how many of us would be shocked if he's running down the floor in the third quarter and all of a sudden he pulls a hamstring or a calf or something? You wouldn't be shocked. So it's a series there. I just think the depth of the Suns will be a problem. But again, if Ingram can get to the foul line a lot and get those easy points instead of having to work so hard for his points, I think that the Pelicans can hang around, maybe steal a game or two. But I'd have to say the Suns would probably move forward in that series. If you go under the first series of the 16 Sweet 16 here, that starts off as the we're going to get the Wolves and the Jazz, and that's going to be not the Wolves and the Jazz. You're gonna get the Mavericks and the Jazz, which is going to be a lot of fun. I want to say that last year's Mavericks team, I've been watching the playoffs since 1977. The Mavericks team last year was the least athletic playoff team I've ever seen in NBA history. I mean, Luka does a great job, but he just has to work too hard for those points. They had no athleticism last year. This year they've added some. So you'd hope they'd be a little better this year. But geez, last year that was hard to watch. I mean, unbelievable. And they're still in these series. I don't know how they do it. But this year you got Powell, you got Boban, you got Ntilikina. You hope that they step up and play well. But you gotta have some more athleticism on the floor for the Mavs, and they do have that this year. But whew, Luka's going to have his. Obviously, he's an all-time leading scorer in playoff history as far as average per game. But again, he's early yet in his career. But I just think that the Jazz, if they go small, the Mavs go small, the Jazz go small. You got Whiteside, or you got Rudy Gay and Conley. Besides the obvious guys of Mitchell and Gobert, I just think that the Jazz have more good players. Even though the Mavs finished hotter and definitely seem to be hotter, the Jazz are so fixated on too many threes. The Jazz live by the 3-point ball. So this series could be a 6 or 7 game series. Of course, like I said, all these series, you fear the ankle turn or something along that nature. But if Whiteside really shows up, and like I said, Rudy Gay, Mike Conley, obviously very consistent players as well. So obviously Gobert and Mitchell, there's been some talk about how they don't get along, but I think this goes 6 or 7 games. No rooting interest here. Ntilikina, like I said, can provide some defense. Boban is certainly good in small doses. If you want to go small, though, that's not going to work. And of course, Powell's had a nice little year here. So again, this is going to be a very important series. And again, I don't focus as much on the stars only because that they're going to be stars. So you'd hope. And so the athletic team that they didn't have last year on the floor, the Mavs, you'd hope that they'd be a little bit more athletic this year and they'd get a chance to move forward. But Mavs and the Jazz, I mean, I guess the Mavs a slight favorite probably because of the home court advantage. But I think that I don't know, too much 3 for the Jazz could get them in trouble. Also, we'll see whose role players play better. Is it Ntilikina, Boban, Powell, was it Whiteside, Gay, Conley, and guys of that nature? So we'll see. But that's going to be a fun series. Warriors, Nuggets, we can't even talk about. I've never seen 2 more injured teams in a playoff series in my life. Is Steph playing? Murray's out. I mean, it's just such a mess. I'm pissed off because I want to watch this series, and I think that the Nuggets had something going when Jamal Murray, before he hurt himself. I thought they'd be a team that could challenge for a title in the future. They did lose some key pieces off that, but they're also got just so many other injuries. We can't even really discuss this series. I just think that the Warriors just have too many other guys, although trying to chase around Joker, and he's just makes everybody else better when they put him at the high post and they have those scissor cut offense based, and you just can't cover Joker that way. I'm sure they're going to put Draymond on him and different people and just try to rough him up. I think the officiating in the series and the level of frustration, how the players handle the frustration, the Nuggets in particular, is going to be the key. So I think, hopefully, I don't know. I would even put Iggy on Joker. I'd put Iggy on Joker just to give him a different look. But you're going to see some games that are just influenced just strictly by who's not on the floor, and that's a big problem. So this series I would really be pumped up for. I'm sure Steph will find a way to get back in there. He has played hurt in the past in the playoffs. 2016, he was hurt the whole time. So, there are guys that have their pride and get back out there, and Steph's one of those guys. He'll definitely get back out there. Like I said, Jamal Murray's still not back yet, and that's a real problem. Um, it's tough. Nuggets. I don't know. I really believe in them, but without Murray or that another great player, it's tough. Joker's been just amazing this year, and he'll probably get the MVP, like we mentioned at the top of the show with Embiid. And it's funny, the number one seeds have not made the Eastern Conference playoffs. So just a little sidebar here. The Eastern Conference Finals since 2017. And growing up, very few upsets in NBA playoffs over the years. And you can remember on one hand, so few when the number one seeds would lose. And 94 with the Nuggets and the Sonics would be one. But the reason for that is NBA teams don't play hard in the regular season anymore. It's become glorified pickup. It's become old days all-star game defense. And so teams, guys with load management, guys with a sprained ankle milking 5 or 6 weeks. So, I mean, you just don't see guys play that hard and during the regular season. And that's why these records during regular season, I think, mean less than ever. There's just not that guy on most teams holding guys accountable, making sure your teammates play and hold others accountable. And like I said, the discipline on a team really amounts to your best player. And, I've always believed in that. And obviously there's nobody holding the candle to some of these guys because this is why we have so many upsets in these playoff rounds. And that's why the seeds, I don't think, matter as much anymore. But like I said, really disappointed to not be able to give you more about the Nuggets and the Warriors, but we just don't. The health of the teams is challenging. It'd be fun to see Wiggins actually play on a good team for a change. That'll be fun. Iggy's back, Draymond, Clay. We'll see what Clay can give. But we have to see what gets done here, and it should be interesting. The most fun series, I think, in the West in this next group is definitely the Grizz and the Wolves. I love Edwards. Edwards is coming fast. Obviously, there's so much talent on the floor here. You just have so many studs out here in this matchup. All right, you got obviously the old world point guard for the Grizz, but also the Wolves are just Edwards is a comer, and you can see it. Is Towns going to gag like in the past? Anthony Towns, they won that game the other night despite him doing nothing when he fouled out with 7 minutes left. It seemed like it was better off. They split there in the year 2-2. The Patrick Beverly factor. Is he going to frustrate the hell out of Ja and these other younger players on the Grizz? If he does, I tell you, he's worth his weight in gold. Now, he might be a pain in the ass, and if you're rooting for the other team that he's playing against, you hate him. But as a coach, I would love to have Patrick Beverly on my team. Russell's gone for 33 times against Memphis, so this is going to be key. But Russell is a streaky player, as we know. He's relies on that jump shot a lot. I'm really looking forward to Edwards playing in the series. This is going to be something that is a lot of fun, and really looking forward to that. That should be really exciting. By the way, I hope that they don't start this garbage they've done in the past where they start other series while other series is still going on. They'll go to the next round. It's just such a disadvantage. It's almost as unfair as you can get. And I know you don't want to have TV outages, but then do a better job of spacing games out and anticipating what series are going to go what. Because to start another series for a team is totally unfair. But they'll probably do that anyway. The Grizzlies are amazing in the paint. They don't shoot as many threes. So that's going to be fun to watch. They attack and transition like nobody's business. They got some great players out there. They're fast break points leader are the Grizz, and the T-Wolves have struggled at that. They're 28th on the defensive boards, and they're at the bottom of the league in transition D. So this is going to be the key. The playoffs are generally a slower pace, but if the Grizz can get the pace they want, I think that could be the big decider. I know this is a 2-7 matchup, but the T-Wolves certainly have enough talent to hang around here, and this is going to be a fun series. I would encourage anybody out there to watch this series. I think you're going to really enjoy yourselves. I think in the end, I think the Grizz might find a way, but this could be the birth of a superhuman Edwards. And then all of a sudden we go from there. And like I said, Pat Bev could distract guys like Brooks and guys like that who are younger and John Moran and just get in their heads. And again, a lot of it depends on the whistle and what the league's going to tolerate. In the playoffs, they do allow a little bit more contact. But they're going to protect Ja because he's one of the studs in the clubhouse for the future of the league. And Pat Bev has already been fined on social media posts and everything else. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great series. Really looking forward to the Grizz and the Wolves. Very, very, very exciting. If you head over to the East bracket, I tell you what, the Heat better be careful. Now, I know you're missing Collins and Capella. And I tell you what, if Collins and Capella were here, I might pick the Heat to lose in 6 or 7 games. But obviously, Capella's looks like he's going to be out. We're still waiting. And Collins is such a versatile player. Looks like he's not going to be back either. He's been out with finger and ankle injuries and things of that nature. But man, oh man! So without Capella and Collins, I will defer to the Heat in 5 or 6. But I'll tell you what, if the Hawks had that, they had those two guys, I would have to lean to the Hawks. I really would, because the Hawks are a team that, last year made so much progress. But then again, you look to skip steps, and young teams always think that they can just start off this next year with the 5 seed again to move forward. Well, they were fortunate to get in. They were the 9 seed. They had a lot of injuries this year, and they did pull it together late and get in. And they beat the Cavs last night in a great game. They were down the whole game, and then of course, Batman showed up and rescued the day. And you might not like Trae Young, but he's a badass when he's got the ball in his hands. If you're going to switch those screens, you are a dead man. The Heat, by the way, in this series, they lead in 3-point field goal percentage in the league, 38%. Got Robinson and Hero who can just flat out stick it. Okay. The Hawks are second in offense and the Heat are fourth in defense. So something's got to give. I think the Heat have enough different bodies to throw at the Hawks. I think physically Trae Young is still not a strong kid yet. If you can wear him down and you can rotate different people on him, I'm sure Butler and Lowry will do their best. I mean, I don't know if Butler can stay in front of him, but he could definitely lean on him for some fouls. And this is going to be a fun series. And like I said, no number 1 seed has been in the Eastern Conference Finals since 2017. And that's not a short while either. So that's, 18, 19, 20, 21. That's 4 years. And that's, if you go back and look, that's probably a very long streak as far as the history of the NBA and number 1 seeds advancing. But the Heat have great depth. And I just think that they're gonna be too much without Collins and without Capella. Now, if Collins and Capella can find a way to get back in this series, I think it's going to be important. And I think they can find a way to maybe squeak one out. But without those two gentlemen, it's going to be rough. And I like watching the Hawks. They're a fun team to watch. I don't know what they're going to do at the center position now. It's going to be really, really, really it's going to be really tough. But it's just going to be an exciting series, and we'll see how they handle those ball screens, and we'll see if they switch. And Lowry's a great defender, so I think that's something that the Heat can rely on. Lowry can focus on his defensive assignment, and you have enough scoring around him where he won't have to do all the scoring, which will be really nice. As we go down that further bracket, they got Sixers and the Raptors. I don't see how the Raptors win this series, although Nick Nurse is a great coach, and I think Doc Rivers is on the clock. He's had some really loaded Clipper teams he never did a lot with. Those teams were loaded. You had the Celtics group, which did win a title with 3.5/4 Hall of Famers on that team, but didn't get, only won once, but you're in it to the Lakers another time, and the growth of LeBron got him out of there for the other times. But again, Doc's got some heat over the years, and I think it's going to continue. The Sixers, since Harden's been there, 7-6 for his playoff teams. Not a good number. And Harden has had some games in the past with 13 turnovers, 3 for 15, 2 for 13, and he'll check out of games. We've seen James do it. He's very out of shape right now. He'll have his moments, but the best of James Harden is definitely behind him. And so even though you might be a Sixers fan out there like Jake, it don't mean that we don't have to be honest here. And James might check out. But then again, maybe Harden's got something to prove, and maybe he plays with a chip on his shoulder, and that's for your best case scenario. Will the Raptors play small? If they play small, Joel's going to get his, but Joel's going to get his anyway. It's a big strategy. Do you let Joel get his and try to shut off Tobias and James? If you do that, you can do that. But like I said, and Embiid's getting to the free throw line at an amazing clip. He's playing the best ball of his career right now. So if you're going to play him small, you better have some plans for depth and things of that nature. One of the big things that no one's talking about, Thibault's not going to be able to play in Canada, and that's going to hurt. That could keep this a longer series than you might want. Whereas the Sixers, you feel like, could get out to a 3-1 series, come home for a game 5 and wrap it up. It might be tough to win 2 games in Canada without Thibault. Thibault's been an excellent player for them. He's a great defender. He gives them another option. He gives them a 4th option out there. And so that's a huge factor. And, like I said, I'm sure Nick Nurse is going to have some wacky defenses to play. I love him as a coach. There's a lot of rumors out there about him going somewhere else. Raptors have the best turnover ratio, more possessions in the league than anybody else. And again, the pace usually slows down, but I would do the opposite if I was the Raptors. They got nothing to fear here. They should just play with house money. We have, even though it's a 4-5 series, we all know that, there's a 3-way tie for 2, 3, and 4. And we know that the Sixers are much better than a 4 seed. And the Raptors, I think, have overachieved to be a 5 seed. Pascal is going to be great in Van Vliet, but again, Van Vliet's a volume shooter. Pascal is a very good player, but he's not a great player. And so I just don't see how this happens unless Thibault just not playing in Canada is that much of a problem, and all of a sudden it's 2-2 after 4 games instead of 3-1, which it probably would be. It's I don't know. It's gonna be exciting. Tobias and is going to be a big factor in the series. It's great stuff to see a local guy and Danny Green, 2 local guys here from Long Island, playing this series. I'll be rooting for them. Both veterans, and they'll both make the open shot, which I think is what's eventually going to carry the Sixers past this round. And the overall depth is. And did the Raptors have that go-to guy? Sorry, I have a little ADD here, but the Raptors, I don't know. They don't really have that go-to guy. Van Vliet's not a go-to guy. Pascal can be in streaks, but again, I know they play a good team ball and they're bigger than the sum of their parts. I know that, but I just don't see the Raptors pulling this off here. Anything's possible. And like I said, you get 2-2 because Thibault not allowed to play there because of vaccination status. This could flip on a dime. And if you ever get to a 3-3 in one game, as we know, anything can happen. I mean, the Sixers are the better team. There's no doubt about that, but we have to see going forward what's going to happen here as we go down. Bucks Bulls. Was very interested in this series, but the Bulls scare me because they don't beat anybody with a good record. DeRozan has had so many failures in the past, and the injuries are slowing the Bulls down here, and it's going to be tough. The Bulls were off to a great start. They've had some injuries. There's a big 3-point difference. Bucks beat them 4 times during the season. I know that doesn't matter when the scoreboard ticks off today with 12 minutes on the first quarter clock, and that won't matter. But in the back of your head, that does matter. And there's such a 3-point difference here. It's between the Bucks and the Bulls. Excited to see Billy Donovan back on the sideline there and enjoying it. But obviously Zach LaVine and Ball and everybody, if they were, if Ball, LaVine, and Thompson, if they could all step up, I think they could give the Bucks a run for the money. But the Bucks just seem like, again, Middleton is so underrated. I mean, he had such a great playoff last year, and people don't mention him with the great players of the game, but he's one of the best shot makers in the league. And no one mentions him. They just have some great depth. I mean, Lopez does his job. Obviously, Giannis is just a stud. Got guys like Connaughton out there and Grayson Allen. You got a ton of guys out there that just do the little things and win games. And Holiday is one of the best defenders, although at the end of the season, his defense has slacked off a little bit. But you just have to hope that, again, the injuries always play such a part. And you just wish you could get 16 healthy teams here. That'd be so much fun because there are some great matchups. And this is one of those matchups that is fun to watch, even though they beat them 4-0. I'm excited to watch this Bulls team. I'm happy for LaVine to get back after a really tough injury. I'm happy that Ball landed in a good place, and all the guys that the Lakers jettisoned have all wound up to be good young players somewhere else. Very excited about that, especially for Ingram last night with the Pelicans and now Ball here with the Bulls. But I just think the Bucks have too much depth, and I don't know, probably a 4-1 or a 4-2 series there for the Bucks. Nets, Celtics. Interesting. Here in the New York area, the Knicks didn't get it done this year, and so people have been screaming about the Knicks, but they really missed D Rose this year. And that was the thing that people who call on the fan with that limited basketball IQ don't understand. Celtics love to switch, and if you're going to switch with KD or Kyrie, it's going to be a problem. They love to switch. The Celtics have been really good at switching. They're one of the better defensive teams. Celtics in close games, though. 13-22, not good. And 5 points or less. That scares the crap out of me if I'm this, because these games are like that. The good news is, you got Horford, Rob Williams is out, but you got Horford, you got Williams, you got Thies, you got that 3-headed monster, and Horford is worth his weight in gold, but you just don't know how big the Nets will go. Will the Nets go big? I still think Drummond's got a lot left in the tank, but nobody plays a center anymore out of fear on the defensive end of the floor, and pick and roll defense obviously being so important. But I think they got to guard Drummond too. Drummond's a beast on the boards. He's still young enough where he could be effective. The bench minutes for the Nets have been a real problem, but they do have enough shooters around them. I think having Curry and Mills, those guys can shoot. They definitely have enough around you, and you have guys like Claxton, all right, Brown, and is just a really good player. And don't forget, I know during the season, guys like Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge have been limited, but they could still play you for 10, 15-minute stretch. You need a blow. You can get LaMarcus out there. You can throw the ball to him on the left block, and he's still got enough offense in him where he can give Durant maybe a 2 or 3 minute rest. And I know that that's, not what you want to do. But Claxton and Brown played amazing the other night. Patty Mills is certainly no stranger to hitting big shots. And like I said, Drummond can definitely help you on the boards. This is going to be a fun series. I do think the Celtics have more decent players, but if we're going to make this a one-on-one series, the Nets got the better two players for one-on-one. And it's just a matter of, making their shots. I do think you can't have Durant out there 44, 45 minutes every night, though. I think you got to get this guy a blow. The good news today is for the older teams is the NBA has cheesed it over the years in the favor of the stars, because as they got older and stretched out the games, it used to be that you played a game in a series every other day. And that was how it worked. And then it was an automatic thing that you waited till all the other series ended before you started the next round. But the NBA, realizing that over the years that some of the stars, as they got older, they wanted them to be able to stretch them out and get the more star quality for the ratings. Sometimes there's more than 2 days between games, which is a disgrace because that favors the older team. They need the more rest usually. So this Nets Celtics series is going to be a lot of fun. I could. It's one of those series where I think the games will be close, but you could still get a 5-game series, which doesn't mean the series wasn't close. I mean, you could have a series like the 83 Sixers Lakers series where the Lakers are winning every game going into the fourth quarter and get swept. So on paper, it looks like they got swept, they got blown out, but the games were close. That could happen here because so much one-on-one talent with Kyrie and KD. I mean, you can't stop KD's pull-up, and certainly, if you're going to have Tatum chasing around KD, it's going to kill him on the other end of the floor as far as offense goes. Of course, it's going to be a huge problem. Got some Celtics fans out there that I know of who are definitely be interested in this series. And it's going to be a great series. It's going to be a great playoff. And this first round is very exciting. And it's, like I said, it's going to be a lot of fun. I just want to see the health of these teams remain intact, or at least get healthier, because it's very frustrating to have to sit there and watch this when the best players aren't on the floor. Like that Nuggets Warriors series, Jamal Murray was on the come before he got hurt. He was going to be one of the best players in the league, and unfortunate ACL. You can see how good him and Joker played together, and it's just going to be fun. But at 1:00 we get to tip it off, and that's going to be a blast. It's like I said, it's 11:16 now, so it's we got another couple hours, but it's going to be great. It's going to be a great playoff. We'll try to come back after all these first round series are over. Unfortunately, they'll probably be spaced out the wrong way again, like we just mentioned, and we'll have people starting the second round series before the first one's over. I believe today we got 4 games and tomorrow we got 4 games. Then unfortunately, then on Monday we get 2 games. We're like, what are we doing here? But make people play every other day. Find out who the best teams are. Don't stretch it out for these older teams to give them an advantage. Now that would definitely help the Nets in this case if they're going to have a situation where KD and Kyrie got to play 45 minutes a night. So that's going to be very tricky. It's funny though, no one talking about that Raptor series, and the Sixers not being able to have Thibault is a big deal. And no one's mentioning that. It's to not be able to play against a vaccination, but how that fans in the building is just stupid and flies in the face. A lot of people talk about science. Well, that's no science in that. That's just stubborn stupidity and not giving in to anybody with any brain cells that understands that if you can have some people in the building, how can you not have a player in the building? It's just ridiculous, but that's where we are today. But so anyway, looking forward to seeing the series. Definitely check it out today. It's going to be all for the first round NBA playoffs. I'm telling them like it is. Enjoy the playoffs. Hope for the health of the players. Hope that we can have some healthy players get out there and give us their best. And I tell you, keep an eye on that Grizzly T-Wolf series. That is going to be just so much fun. All the series are going to be fun, but that one's really going to be fun. And Hawks Heat, I think, will also be enjoyable, although the Heat a little banged up. Capella really hurts them. And so good luck to you guys watching the games. Have some fun. That's all. Telling like it is. NBA preview 2022.